I would like to tell you a history story, one that is not written in the history books, nor is it being taught in the classrooms. But I think you will agree that it should be. It was long, long ago, in the days of our ancestors, there lived a man named Daganoweda, an Oneida holy man. And at that time, there were 5 nations living in the area. They were the Seneca, the Mohawk, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, and the Oneida. And these nations were always fighting with each other. Many wars were being fought. Many lives were being lost. This greatly troubled Daganoweda, and he thought there must be a way to devise a system by which these nations could live together in peace, a secure and lasting peace. He thought and thought about this until he hit upon a plan, one he called the Great Plan of Peace. Then he began to travel among these nations, speaking with the people, sitting in council explaining his plan, forging alliances. The alliance was such that each tribe would maintain control over their own affairs, but they would come under a much larger treaty, one that stated, should anyone attack any one of these tribes, they would be attacking all of them. All major decisions would be made by the 5 nations sitting in council. The day-to-day decisions would be left to the individual tribes. And it was the women who would elect the men to council. This was part of the rule. And if the men did not do the job, the women would vote them out. And so these 5 nations came together and met at a place not far from what is today Syracuse, New York. And at that first meeting, over 50 chiefs gathered under a symbolic tree of peace and declared, "This is our alliance, and it is good." They became known as the Iroquois Confederacy, but they called themselves the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse. Now, many years later, Benjamin Franklin had heard of this alliance, and at that time the colonies were looking for a system by which they could work together. The problem was that each one of the colonies wanted to be in charge, but they knew they would have to come together to protect themselves from England. So in 1765, they met at the New Albany Convention, and Benjamin Franklin invited the Iroquois people to come to this convention to explain how their system worked. And they did. And the colonial representatives liked this system. And so that great plan of peace that Daganoweda started and brought democracy to this land 300 years before Columbus became the foundation for what is today the Constitution of the United States of America. In 1987, Senator Daniel Inouye brought this before the combined houses of Congress, and it is now written in the Congressional Record that this is the truth. The Constitution of the United States came from the Haudenosaunee people. This nation was founded on Indian principles.